How's it going, guys? So, there's a fight coming up next month in the super middleweight division in Germany that I wanted to talk about. The fight's going to be between former WBA champion Vincent Feigenbutz, and he's going to be facing undefeated Russian contender Andrey Sirotkin. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about this fight is because I believe that this fight is going to be an IBF eliminator. It's for the IBF Intercontinental title, which is currently held by Vincent Feigenbutz. So the likelihood is that the winner of this fight will be in the runnings for a fight against James DeGale, who's the current IBF champion. So there's a potential for an interesting match there. So let's talk about this one now. I've been following Vincent Feigenbutz for a while, pretty much his whole career. He's a guy who, I believe he's only 21 years old, so he's very young and very, green at this stage. However, he was rushed along very quickly in his career. I mean, he's promoted by the Sauerlands, and ever since he was, 18, 19 years old, they've been putting him in with the toughest opposition they could get him in with. Like I said, he's already a former world champion. He was, I believe he was the interim champion. However, he was elevated to the rank of full champion after defeating Giovanni Di Carolis in their first fight. However, they had a rematch, and Giovanni Di Carolis stopped Feigenbutz in the 11th round of their rematch, so he lost his title. Since then, he's had a few good wins. His last fight was against a nice, tough guy called Mike Ketter. He was this little short, stocky, come-forward pressure fighter. I had a prediction video up for that fight. Vincent Feigenbutz destroyed Mike Ketter in 2 rounds, and it was a very impressive performance. So, he's obviously rebuilding from the Di Carolis fight, which took place in, I believe it was January last year. And since then, he's had about 4 fights, and he's won them all by quite impressive knockout. So, it's looking good for him. Now, in terms of his opponent, this is a guy that I didn't know much about, Sirotkin. But since hearing about this fight being announced, I've gone and looked at a lot of footage that I could find of the guy. I've watched several of his fights, and one thing that jumps out about him straight away, this guy, is a major disadvantage that he has here, and that is that he is not a puncher. The guy has no power. He only has about 3 knockouts, and if you watch him fight, I mean, he literally has no power for a super middleweight. He's also quite small for the Division 2. He's only about 5'9" and a half. He's a southpaw, and he is quite tricky at times. I've noticed from watching some of his fights, he's quite difficult to hit. He's a guy who, he comes forward on the front foot and he gets in and out quite quickly, and he's a little bit difficult to read in the ring. He's quite a technically sound fighter. He's quite cute in there, but to be honest, even if he's able to confuse Feigenbutz a little bit, I just think that the superior size and strength and punching power and ferocity of a fighter like Feigenbutz, it'll be too much for this guy, and I see Feigenbutz stopping this guy, perhaps even in the early rounds, guys. I think he may even do it within 5 rounds, because just seeing this guy, even though this guy is quite skilled, he to me, he just doesn't have the physical strength or the power to keep Feigenbutz off him. And Feigenbutz is a very, very good body puncher too, so I can see Feigenbutz breaking him down quite quickly. I can see him landing his straight right hand, which I think is Feigenbutz's best punch, along with his left hook. You never know. I suppose Feigenbutz isn't that great defensively, so if this guy, being a slick southpaw, if he can just get in and out quickly and maybe land a couple of shots and get out, try and confuse him a little bit, maybe he can get something going. But I just think the likelihood is that Feigenbutz will catch him on the way in and break him down and knock him out. So that's what I see happening here. But I'm very interested to see where Feigenbutz would go after this one, because like I said, James DeGale, he's the IBF champion, and that's clearly the route that they're going, and that would be a fight that would be quite easy to make, because like I said before, Feigenbutz is promoted by the Sauerlands, and James DeGale, I suppose, even though he's with Al Heyman now, he's still affiliated with Eddie Hearn, so Kalle Sauerland and Eddie Hearn, they have a very good business relationship, so they could easily make that fight. It would be a good one to make. I know that obviously James DeGale still wants to avenge his defeat to George Groves, but George Groves, who's also with Sauerland, by the way, George Groves is currently in negotiations for a fight against Fedor Chudinov, which will be happening later on in the year for the I believe, the WBA super title. So I know this shit's very confusing, all these titles, man, but still, I don't think that the Groves DeGale fight will be happening anytime soon. I think if it is to happen, it will be next year at the earliest, probably. So I think that Feigenbutz or Sirotkin, if he's able to pull off the upset, it'd be an interesting stay busy fight, if nothing else, for James DeGale. I certainly think that if Feigenbutz wins, that's not an easy fight for DeGale. I know that Feigenbutz lost to DeCarolis and whatnot, but let's be real. The guy is he's come a long way since then. I mean, I've looked at his recent fights. He seems to be hitting much harder now. Obviously, he was only, I think, 19 or 20 or something like that when he fought DeCarolis. So he's just coming into his man strength now. And I think that our fight against James DeGale would be a very interesting one. I really do, because James DeGale himself is coming off a fight where he took a lot of punishment against what was his name? Against Badu Jack, sorry, which I thought that Badu Jack won that fight clearly, in my opinion. So yeah, I would like to see a Feigenbutz James DeGale fight later this year. I think that fight makes a lot of sense, especially if Feigenbutz gets himself into a mandatory position, and holding that IBF Intercontinental belt will certainly help towards that. So let me know what you guys think about this one. Do you think that Sirotkin has a chance? Personally, I don't. I see him getting taken out. And as for a potential Feigenbutz James DeGale fight, what do you guys think of that? Because it's been a while since James DeGale fought a guy with that kind of power, in my opinion. I mean, even though Badu Jack is a far better boxer than Feigenbutz, I don't think he hits quite as hard. And same with guys like Porky Medina, for example. I don't think that Porky Medina was really that big a puncher. So, at least Feigenbutz, he seems to be very heavy-handed, and he seems to be, his skills seem to be coming together nicely. So I would like to see that fight. So let me know what you guys think about it, and thanks for watching.